if you haven't heard, I wonder how many NFL fans out there aren't aware. Like, is it going to be a surprise when they ask a friend or a family member, hey, what games are on this weekend? And somebody says, oh, Tom Brady's going back to New England. And they say, oh, I didn't know that. I doubt there's anybody out there that is not aware that one of the most anticipated regular season games in years, if not ever, is happening Sunday night in Foxborough at Gillette Stadium. Here is Tom Brady from his Let's Go podcast. Usually he has a word in the middle. I guess they couldn't use the word that he says in the middle. Although if Eli Manning can do the double-barreled middle fingers on ESPN2, maybe they could have called it Let's Effing Go. Here's Tom Brady from Let's Go talking about his return to New England.
When I think of 20 years in one place, you're right. I know that locker room. I know that home locker room. I know that home tunnel. I know, which way the wind blows. I know everything about that. I know the way it smells. I know what a night game's like. I know what the fans are going to sound like. So in some ways, that'll be really unique. I've never had that experience going to, New England. It'll be a first time for me being on the other sideline. So, I'm not going to necessarily reminisce. I don't think this is the moment for that. And I'll have plenty of opportunities to reminisce about my football career. None of which I really care to do right now because I'm so much in the moment. And I'm not going to be thinking about, 20 years of history. I'm going to be thinking about one night of football, a Sunday night game coming off a really tough loss. They're coming off a really tough loss. So both teams are going to be fighting and clawing for a win.
What be your message to the fans as you now embark on going back to Gillette?
Well, I wouldn't expect a homecoming. I mean, I think they're there to root for their team, and their team is the Patriots. And I'll certainly have a lot of people that cheered for me over the years. I know there'll probably be, I have a lot of family there, and I have a lot of friends that have wanted to go to the game. They've been asking me about tickets for 6 months. So there'll be a lot of excitement from them in the stands. But, I think the home crowd at Gillette is a great crowd. And I think they're going to cheer for their team as I would expect them to. And I think if they know anything about me, they're going to know that I'm going out there to try to win the football game.
That's Tom Brady from the Let's Go podcast. I was getting so engrossed, I didn't know it was time for me to talk. It basically was becoming the Let's Go podcast on PFTPM, as we heard from Tom Brady. But I think, Charean, that he can tell himself it's a normal game, just another Sunday, just another game, just another check of the box as they move deeper into the schedule. He can tell himself that. And Tony Dungy spoke of this the other night. He told himself that when coaching the Colts and returning to Tampa Bay for the first time. You can tell yourself all week, and anyone else who will be listening, that this is no different than any other game. And then you go out of the tunnel and you hear the ovation. And really the best thing that the Gillette Stadium crowd could do is give Tom Brady a standing ovation. Make him emotional. I know that the Patriots, during the 20 years that Brady was in New England, would only get concerned about him if they thought he would be too emotional for whatever reason in a given game, because the emotion is what knocks you wobbly. It's what makes you different than what you ordinarily are. So he's going to try to not be emotional. The fans, if they want to sabotage this and get the win, they should do everything they can to make him emotional. That's going to be, I think, his biggest challenge, is understanding how he's going to feel, processing it, and moving on from it as quickly as possible.
Mike, you talked to Sam Darnold a couple weeks ago. Sam Darnold did not spend a long time with the Jets, and he talked about how emotional it was after spending the whole entire week saying, oh, it's not going to be emotional going against the Jets. And he talked to you about standing there at the national anthem and seeing the Jets across the field from him and how weird it was. I mean, Tom Brady spent 20 years with the New England Patriots. He hasn't been in the visitors' locker room. He hasn't been on the visitors' side of the field. He hasn't stood for the national anthem and seen the Patriots across from him. He hasn't had the fans cheer against him. I will be curious to see how many Tom Brady jerseys are in the stands, because I would expect that there will be a lot in the stands. But he's right in that most of those people are going to be rooting for the Patriots, not for Tom Brady. They'll be nice to him, but they want him to lose, and there'll be a little conflict there. But this is going to be a strange experience for Tom Brady, no matter what he says. When the game starts, maybe all that does go away, but to me, it's still going to be strange for him, Mike.
There were so many Tom Brady jerseys sold during his time in New England because even late in his tenure there, his jersey was the top-selling jersey in all of football. There must be people who have closets full of these things as they grew up. This is the one I had when I was 6. This is the one I had when I was 8. This is the one I had when I was 10, all the way from 6 to 21 or 6 to 26 as the case may be. That's how long he was there. That's how ingrained he was in that culture, and it is going to be strange for everybody. It's Super Bowl level tickets on the secondary market. I won't be surprised if they're even higher. This is once-in-a-lifetime stuff. This is Tom Brady, who spent 20 years and won 6 championships in one place, leaving, playing at a very high level, and coming back. Not Joe Namath on the Rams or Johnny Unitas on the Chargers, not broken down shell of what they once were. It's different from Brett Favre going back to Green Bay as a member of the Vikings because there was hatred there. And I remember that game in 2009. Every time Favre stepped on the field, he was loudly booed because that was during the moment in the relationship where there was acrimony. This is a different vibe altogether. And I think everybody involved is going to have to process it. I think it's going to be emotional for Bill Belichick. The only people that aren't going to matter and the only people that aren't going to care are the Patriots players who have no connection to Tom Brady. And there aren't a whole lot of them, but those are the ones who won't care, because I think the other Buccaneers players are going to get caught up in the moment, and they're going to want to win that game very badly for Tom Brady, to the point where someone needs to worry about them knocked a little wobbly by the moment trying to get that victory, because they don't want to be responsible for Tom Brady going back to New England and not getting a win.
And there's at least one player, Mike, who is going to be emotional in this game, one new player who wasn't there when Tom Brady's there, and that's Mac Jones. How is he going to handle this setting with Tom Brady coming home, and he's the heir apparent to Tom Brady? I realize it's been 2 years since he left, but that's what they drafted him for, to be the next Tom Brady, to be there for 20 years, they hope. And so I would expect that Mac Jones is going to feel some things just having Tom Brady come back. And he's going to remember this game forever, and he's going to remember it even more if they can somehow pull off the upset.
It will be an upset even bigger than Giants over the Patriots in Super Bowl 42 if Tom Brady fails to set the all-time career passing yardage record. He only needs 68 yards to surpass Drew Brees. And Brees will be there at the game. Part of the Sunday Night Football crew, the Football Night in America studio crew, will be up there at Foxborough for that moment. So Brees will be there. Maybe they'll have Brees give Brady the laminated sheet of paper. Remember how goofy that was when they brought out a sheet of Dunder Mifflin's finest, white letter stock, 8.5 by 11, in a plastic folder commemorating the all-time career passing yardage. But whatever it is, I'm sure that, I don't know, will they stop the game? I guess they'll stop the game. That's going to be another weird moment. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. If this was in Tampa, hell yeah, they stop the game. This is, of all places, New England. When he gets to 68 passing yards, he's the all-time career passing yardage leader, probably never to be caught by anyone else, although who the hell knows at this point. But it will be a long time if it happens. That will be amazing, and that will be another moment where he needs to be ready for the emotions of that. To the extent he even cares about that. He may not care about that. All he cares about is the next Super Bowl championship. But to the extent he gets a standing ovation when he walks in, he's going to get another one when that happens. So that's going to be kind of a delayed reaction he needs to be ready for. Patriots coaches met with reporters today to talk about the return of the Tommy to New England. Here's some of them, led by offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels.
You know, we're obviously very good friends and close, and that should never change. And I know he'll be excited to compete and come up here and try to win and play his best game. And we're preparing to try to do the same thing. So, you know, I've coached against a lot of people that we used to coach, a lot of coaches that I've used to coach with. There's always an added sentiment to the game emotionally. I would not expect this game to be any different.
I love Tom Brady. I'll always have. I spent 20 years with the young guy. I am very honored to have played or been a part of the team with him. I still think he's the greatest. But right now, that SOB is is on the enemy. So however you put it, he's coming in. He's the enemy. I still love him. I think he's a great person. But I'm not going to be sharing any love when it comes to game time, and we'll share that love afterwards when it's all said and done.
Man, it's truly amazing. He's been playing at a high level for a long time. When we got the depth charts and it said how many years he was playing, I was like, his career alone is old enough to drink. It's crazy.
I'm happy for him for the success he's had, and I'm looking forward to trying to beat his butt, and that's what counts.
Tom Brady's career is so great, and it's lasted so long. Yeah. He's already earned 2 busts in Canton, pre-2008, post-2008, and he's working on a third one, 2020 and beyond, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And by the time he's done, he may have the credentials that if you broke his career into 3 parts, he could go in to the Hall of Fame 3 different ways with 3 different hairstyles. Maybe that should happen. Maybe there should be multiple Tom Brady busts in Canton, Charean.
One for every Super Bowl, Mike. That's what we need. One for every Super Bowl. His greatness is really unmatched and will be unmatched for the history of this game. And I know the Chiefs did a lot of talking about how many Super Bowls they were going to win and all that kind of stuff. And they figured out last year against Tom Brady. I guess that's irony. We always try to decide what irony is. Ironically enough, against Tom Brady last year, they figured out how hard it is to win that 2nd Super Bowl, much less that 6th and 7th Super Bowl that they've talked about in matching Tom Brady. It's hard to do, and he's managed to do it, Mike. And I'm so interested from start to finish in this game. Like, how are Belichick and Brady going to greet each other? Is Bob Kraft going to be down there? Are they going to share a moment? Or is Brady going to be totally focused and not talk to any of the Patriots? Are they going to have a pregame video for Tom Brady like some teams do before he starts the game? And as you talked about, maybe that gets his emotions going. Are they going to stop the game once he sets the all-time passing yards record? There's so many questions I have about what's going to go on, not only in between the lines, but before the game starts and then during the game when he sets that record.
I think it's a win-win for the Patriots if they fully embrace any and all opportunities to treat Tom well, to make it sentimental, to make it emotional. I think the more emotional the night is, the more the advantage swings to the Patriots, because Bill Belichick will never waver. The Patriots players will never waver. Tom possibly will, and they know him better than anyone. So they'll lay it on thick. Maybe it'll even seem passive-aggressive. Will he have a wall up at all as they try to do it? Does he know going in, you know what, I know what these guys are going to do to me. They're really going to try to suck up to me and butter me up and get me off my mark that way before the game even starts. But interesting developments to keep an eye on as the game unfolds in the early stages. At some point it does revert to being a football game, but the damage could be done by the time it gets to that point where it settles down if the Patriots jump out to a big lead. I think most people are probably going to pick Brady and the Buccaneers to win. Right now the Brady team is the better team, and we saw both of them lose on Sunday, and I think the urgency is going to be there for both teams to win, but the Buccaneers even more so as they have seen their hold on the NFC get a little shaky after what the Rams did to them on Sunday.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.